Divorce kind of sounds like something that wouldn't happen to you, like a car crash or your house catching on fire.
You're kind of confused. You don't really know what's going on because they've been together your whole life. And it scares you at the same time, and just everything is chaos, basically. You don't really know what's going on, and it's just a really scary moment.
My parents were always fighting, and I always told them to stop fighting.
They would like fight, and my dad, he would leave out screaming. They would be fighting, there would be things thrown, and sometimes I would have to go over to one of my friends' house, or I would have to just sit in my room with the door closed and listen to it.
It just never feels good to just have that feeling that somebody might be in the house, but it's not actually that. It's just your mom and dad.
I always told them to stop fighting because I didn't want them to separate.
They were just like yelling and screaming. I was so sad. I wanted them to stop, but there was nothing I could do because I was so little. But
It was really hard seeing them fight with each other and just argue, and things weren't perfect like they always were.
Why were my parents always fighting back then?
There was a lot of fighting. They never got along.
They went fighting again, and I said stop it, but they kept fighting.
I saw my mom they were physically fighting.
I went to go check what was happening because I heard lots of screaming, and I saw them fighting, so I got scared.
The police would get called over a lot. We had a lot of big blow-up fights. A lot came from her bipolar disorder, and then a lot also came from him just not dealing with it properly, and so that kind of caused all these blow-up fights where the police would come over. And
it was one of the really bad fights that they had, and my mom, I think it was almost like the last straw, like she just couldn't take it anymore, or they neither could take it anymore.
I would catch her sometimes and she'd be, laying in her bed crying or something, or I'd go up to her and she looks like she's all teary-eyed. My dad just seemed all right. He seemed like whatever, it seemed like my dad was almost kind of happy that she wasn't doing too good, kind of just because they had this rage and hatred for each other when they first started.
They were fighting in the kitchen. I got out of my room because it was barely nighttime, and I went to go check what was happening because I heard lots of screaming, and I saw them fighting, so I got scared.
He'd get so mad and his face would turn bright red, and it'd make me shake and tremble.
The puzzle wasn't together anymore. It was scrambled everywhere. It wasn't the same at all.
My dad was not focusing on us. He was focusing on other things like his car, and he just didn't take my mom seriously.
And sometimes they get into fights because my dad he just acts sometimes like he always knows what my mom's talking about, and he just acts like he doesn't, so that my mom gets frustrated, and then they get into a fight, and sometimes my mom gets so mad that she just hangs up on him.
He was really mean to my mom, and then he cheated on her, so then she started crying a lot.
My dad would always hurt us and then pretend that he didn't do anything and be like, "Are you okay?" My mom said that he cheated on my mom, and that made me sad that he wasn't honest with any of us.
When they were getting divorced, they didn't agree on everything.
And she said that your dad and I are getting a divorce, and
we're moving tomorrow, so you need to pack up all your stuff today.
I looked around and I was like, are you serious? You waited this whole time to like tell me that we were both gonna have to leave and like leave my dad, and it was, like I said before, it was heartbreaking.
It began to get to one of those points where it wasn't one of those divorces that was kind of agreed. It was kind of one of those divorces that was, my mom just got really angry and just kicked him out of the house.
It's almost like an atomic bomb went off and you weren't really expecting it. Of course you were expecting it, but you didn't really think it was gonna happen so fast.
When it first started, there was a lot of arguing. Then we started having a lot of family meetings and it got calmer and calmer again. And then everyone just started moving out and moving in and moving out. Our dad had an apartment somewhere that he had got when he moved out, and then he kept moving in and moving out again.
All I knew is, okay, Dad was just kind of gone for a while. I thought he would come back, but he never really did.
They didn't tell me they got divorced until one day my daddy didn't come back from work, and that's when I got really worried, and my mom told me my dad's not gonna be with us, and that's when they went to court with us. We went to court, and I was really sad. That day I was crying so loud. I sneaked in his car just to be with him, but they took me out, and I was really sad because he had to move to Venezuela, and we stayed here in the United States. I was really, really sad about that.
It was a message from my dad, and it said, I still love you, but I don't think I'm the right man for you. And I think it'd be best if you found the right guy for you, because you're so young and you're still so beautiful. And it just completely broke my heart because I thought my parents were supposed to be together forever and they're supposed to live happily ever after, but it didn't happen.
And then one time I was watching TV downstairs, and my dad came down with a giant suitcase, and he didn't know I was there, so I just kind of be quiet and he left. And I didn't really know what that was.
When I saw him leave, I was actually really sad. He actually came back another day to go pick up his stuff, and he said goodbye to me and my brother and my sister. And I was actually pretty sad. I was crying. I was hugging him until he left the door. And after that, I was crying so much. My mom kept on taking me to her bed because I was crying so bad.
She tried to explain that she couldn't be with my dad anymore, and got all the arguing and everything. I felt very sad.
My mom, she wanted us to not really worry about anything. She wanted us to kind of just like she told us, yeah, your dad's not gonna be with us anymore. But I mean, and really, she wasn't really talking to me much about it as my dad was. But you know, my mom, she just didn't want us to worry about anything.
I just wish they didn't get divorced. It was really hard for me.
I didn't really understand what was going on. I knew there was like yelling and stuff and fighting, and I knew they weren't getting along, like kids fighting on the playground. I guess I amounted it to like someone not getting along, and so they're not friends anymore, but it was my parents not getting along.
And my parents were just like a square and a circle, because they were different and the circle and the square were different. And so I had to make this big decision, but I knew it was the right thing. So I let the circle and the square fall apart. They think the circle and the square are right together and they attach, but sometimes they have the circle and the square get in lots of fights, so the circle and the square have to divorce, so they move away.
Our family was separating. we wouldn't get to see our mom and dad every day of our life.
I just didn't understand why.
I didn't really know what was going on. I really was just kind of confused and didn't really know what to feel because I didn't think that would ever happen.
I never thought that would happen. You know, you never really think that would happen. It's one of those things that definitely catches you by surprise, kind of like a whiplash or like someone hitting you. It's like a hit in the back of the head, like, whoa, like, oh my God, this isn't happening. It feels like a dream. It feels very surreal and very, I don't know, dark almost.
I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't understand why they were mad, and I didn't understand why my dad would leave. But what I did know was that I had a mom who loved me. That's all I needed.
The most difficult part was just trying to understand why my mom was always so depressed. She was always so sad because she wouldn't tell us. My mom tried her best to always, you know, make sure that my sisters and I didn't have any worries. So she would like not tell us what happened.
She said that it has nothing to do with you, but I kept thinking that it was because they were always fighting about like money problems, and so they'd have to spend money on us. So I sort of thought that they were fighting for us.
I sometimes thought that it was my fault that they got divorced, but now I realize that it wasn't really my fault, that it was their choice why they did it.
And I thought like it was all me, like they divorced because of me, and I was just like super depressed, didn't know why.
My parents told me that I wasn't, and I didn't believe them until I was like 6.
I kept thinking maybe I did something wrong. If I had done something better, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
It was kind of like you just broke a window, and you have to go tell your parents, and like you're crying to them, and they're trying to tell you it's not your fault. Don't worry about it, but you know deep down that it is your fault.
It would have been a lot more like helpful, I guess, if my parents would have told me exactly what was going on.
Nobody like really told me what was happening or why it was happening. So I just felt lonely.
I don't know, I just felt like depressed. I didn't really know like how to cope with it because I was like young.
Well, my mom tried to explain it, a little sad, but a little mad, but sad at the same time. And I was mostly sad when she was trying to explain it to me.
He sat down and he said, listen, Julio, we're having some troubles. There's things going on. Your mom and I don't see eye to eye anymore. We're not very happy. We're thinking about a divorce. We're gonna be separated, but just know that it has nothing to do with you. You know, it's our own problem. It's our own thing. It's like, but I remember just sitting there not really considering it. I was kind of like, oh, whatever, they'll get over it. It's just like any other fight, you know. I was used to them fighting, so I thought that it was just gonna be something that would just blow by in the morning. And then like 3 months later is when it actually happened. And I was like, whoa, you know what happened?
She did break it to me that they weren't gonna be together anymore, and that's of course whenever I started crying, and just things weren't the same anymore. I think the change overall just like really affected me.
It's affected me definitely negatively because I haven't had both a male figure and a mother figure in my life because my dad was kind of like absent for a while after they got divorced.
There was actually a time that I just didn't believe in love. Because I was just so heartbroken. I thought I was just gonna die alone, and I didn't want that. And I mean, I'm still really shaky about believing in love because divorce is such a big thing right now. It's really common. So I feel like love doesn't exist like right now. I mean, maybe it does. I just haven't experienced it.
hard to deal with it because like all these people at my school some people had their parents, and I didn't understand how could they still be together. What happened to my parents that couldn't happen to yours? It's not fair.
As I was leaving, I was missing my mom, even though since we were in the car, sometimes I'd be crying, I'd be drawing in my journal. And it was just really hard for me.
It just felt bad, and they didn't really pay attention to me because of the situation. So I felt like no one really cared about me.
The hard thing, or the negative thing, is the fact of how separated the family is.
Mom and dad don't call each other that often. They aren't even Facebook buddies. And I feel like that's negative. I wish that they were at least friends. I know that they've separated and stuff, but they don't have to be so distant like they're barely, like they're enemies or strangers or something.
And they'll say one thing to us, and then they'll say another thing to my mom and my dad. My mom will say how my dad's paying child support, and then my dad will say she'll say how he isn't paying child support, and then he'll say how he is, and then they'll just lie.
Knowing that you can't put them in a room together because they don't even want to look at each other. You put them in the room together. My mom says she wants to talk to my dad, but in reality, I know that she's just got this kind of thing of she'll get so angry and they'll start yelling and stuff.
There was a lot of arguing, moving in and out, new people in your lives that you didn't really know.
It's just, you have to understand from the kids' point of view, how they would feel if you guys separated, if they're still used to you guys being together.
I miss all the happy days that I had with my family. I just wish that could all come back.
I just think the whole divorce in general, it really affected my schooling and my studying, because you would sit there and you wouldn't really look at your books. You would sit there and think about, are there any ways for me to make my parents happier, or are there any ways to almost make things better again instead of reading a book or studying?
I think the divorce has definitely preoccupied my mind, not being able to let me think straight. It's definitely, I don't know, not having me in the right mindset I should be in to get work done.
When you had to be focused on school or maybe a sport, it would be really hard because you would be thinking about your parents and how they would be doing. So it was kind of hard.
I was very sad and upset about it, but I knew it was the right thing. And I knew they had a good reason. I just had to let it go. And since they've been divorced twice and I've been through this twice, it makes me understand that I just have to let it go.
I kind of fixed myself just by being myself. I eventually got over it.
It was what needed to happen, even though I wanted my parents to stay together, because it was worse having them being together and fighting a lot than having them at separate houses and not fighting. And so that was kind of a big thing to get over that initial fact of shock that your parents aren't gonna live in the same house and you're gonna go from house to house and stuff like that.
I think the first time that I went over to my dad's house into his new apartment, I sort of realized that this was a thing. I could do nothing about it. It didn't have to do with me, and that the best way to deal with it was just to accept that it had happened and try to live in the present instead of dwelling upon the past.
What's helped me is the support of my brothers and sisters.
The people I mostly talked about it when it first happened was my teachers. Just kind of looking for that adult talk.
Of course, my teachers all know, so they'll come up to me and talk to me and say, hey, is everything at home going okay? And
I had a lot of therapy, and my mom talked to me about it a lot, and that helped me get through it.
One time though, I did talk to a counselor because my mom, she thought there was a lot of problems within our family until she took us to a counselor. And I would talk to her, and at one point I did talk to her about the divorce. And it did kind of help, you know, because she would tell me stuff, and it's confidential. I would tell her things. And
seeing the psychologist, I think I was always someone who liked to talk, so I kind of liked to go there and kind of talk about what was going on in my family, just because it was nice to have someone to talk to.
I went to therapy for like a good 3 years. And that helped me realize that it wasn't my fault, because I was putting it a lot on myself. And, you know, I talked to my mom and dad separately about what was happening, but they weren't really giving me what I wanted to know. So the counseling and therapy really helped me understand it myself.
Well, I talked to a lot of my friends about it. The next day when I went into school, my friend just sort of hung out with me all day and comforted me, which was really nice.
My best friend was always there for me, to talk to me. So I was like, yeah, now I have someone to talk to besides my parents, because they don't really understand, you know? Like, my mom has, like, her parents were together till she was an adult. Like, she doesn't understand. And my dad's parents like that too, they're still together. So, like, I can't really talk to them because I don't really understand how that feels to me.
And my grandma was there for support, so she was kind of like my second dad, I guess.
I'm really close with my whole family on my mom's side, and I could really talk to them about anything, and especially because they know my mom the best. They grew up with her. So they could help me. I could talk to them, and they're adults, so it kind of helps more than my 6-year-old best friend, you know?
I talk to mostly my family about things. I'll either go to my aunt or my grandma and say like it's really affecting me right now, or I don't feel good about things right now, or this is going on or that's going on.
I'm pretty sure I asked like everyone I knew, like my brother, school teachers, you know, whoever was at the house, my relatives, obviously, when I went to go see them.
I started by trying to write down my feelings on it.
I play baseball, and you know, that helped me escape from the divorce, and reading did too, so.
I didn't think about anything but dance, and that's what made me feel better, because nothing was on my mind. I wasn't thinking anything bad. It was just all good thoughts.
I started playing piano, and it really did help. It keeps me free of like bad emotions, and it's also soothing.
Singing and acting is one of the best things of my life.
I also dance, which kind of goes back to the same thing that tennis and running help. It gets all that frustration and energy and stress, and it just channels it to something.
I liked playing piano because I didn't have to think. I had to be so focused on what my hands were doing that I didn't have to think about what had just happened.
And when I get all my energy out, I forget that my parents are divorced.
I like to do comedy and literature, basically, like write stories and write poems.
Just doing something you're passionate about, once you're in there, you completely forget about divorce, anything, separation.
I was very positive about it, and I think I knew that it was helping me so much develop a sense of like who I was and where I wanted to go as an actor, and it helped me to dig up these emotions when it came to acting and writing, and so that really helped me.
When I could draw, I was taking what was in my head, putting it on the paper, and sealing it in the paper, and it wouldn't come back into my brain. Whenever I felt like I drew or something, this kind of thing, I felt like a little bit of my sadness was planted onto paper, and now it was no longer in my head, but it was somewhere where it could just stay there.
I do paintings and drawings, like, of my parents' divorce, and that's of, like, my family. That helps me remember the good times that we had, and the good times makes it feel like they're still there sometimes. I did gymnastics, I cheerleading. I did a lot of cheerleading, and that you scream a lot in cheerleading, and sometimes I would scream into my pillows because I would get so mad at some things, and that kind of helped me. Because when I did cheerleading, I felt like I was cheering for someone, and that felt me being really good because I was getting the emotion out and I was helping someone win a game.
People think it's kind of cheesy sport, and I just took it really seriously. And that was like the place where I had all these friends, and like they were so nice to me. And that's where I can go and just forget about everything. And it felt nice going there. And I still cheer to this day.
Sports kind of drew a little together, but it also kind of had a little pain, just because I'd always be like, damn, I wish my dad were here, you know?
I mean, I meet new people and they're like, oh, your parents are divorced, that must be so hard, but my parents have been divorced for 7 years. It's sort of just a part of my life. I don't ever constantly think, oh, my parents are divorced, my life is forever different than it was before, especially being fairly young when it happened. It's sort of just matter of fact. It's fact of life. My parents live in 2 houses.
I think it was a struggle when I was little, but not anymore. I think my mom does a lot better. I do a lot better. My sisters do a lot better. And my stepdad, he really helped us a lot.
After they separated and after all the heartbreak and stuff and, oh, my dad's not here, you know, it seemed that once my mom started getting help from Frank, my stepdad, that, you know, she seemed to be a lot happier. My dad, he seemed to be, you know, like at the time with my age, I just kind of looked at it, hey, my dad's a lot cooler now. It's like, hey, I go to my dad's house and now we hang out, you know, he does this, he does that, he's got money, he buys me things.
Everything is so much better. My parents, they're really good friends now.
Well, I know that they're not going to be able to be here like all the time. And that made me think maybe it's a good thing because I'll learn how to face problems by myself.
I'm really glad that they decided to get a divorce because their relationship is so much better now as friends than it was when they were married. And that really changed my whole family now too, because we can spend different holidays together. Even sometimes I'll go to my grandparents' houses on my mom's side of the family, and my dad will come up and spend it with us, and we all get along, and it's so much happier now.
I don't have to hear the yelling, the screaming. Go in your room, close the door. I can breathe.
It's actually, I have fun with both of them, but instead of seeing them mostly fighting under one roof, I see both my happy parents and different roofs, but still paying more attention to me and my little sister and my little brother. More attention to both of us.
Seeing my dad happy and my mom happy for once and not fighting every day in my house, and seeing how much they've grown as people, even though they're not together.
I'm kind of over it already. I mean, I'm glad my parents get along. I mean, some people have worse situations than me, so I'm in a good place.
With my mom, I always am happy, but like when I'm at my dad's, I'm like happy that I see him, but sad that I am not home.
I think it'd be so nice if I could just picture myself leaving to deployment or whatever, you know, being gone for however many months, and then coming back, and instead of just like having to go to like my house and then having to drive, you know, 2 hours to go see you, I would love if I could just go to my house and we could have like a family reunion and be able to see you with my mom and, you know, everyone just greeting me saying welcome home. Like that's something I would love to see. And then my dad, he started saying, well, I don't know, son. And I was just like, I would really love that. You know, can you promise me that sometime in the future that can happen? Like I would wanna get out of boot camp, and after the ceremony and stuff, I wanna have all of you together as a family, seeing me, you know, graduate from boot camp. Same with high school. When I graduate from high school, I wanna see all of you together because you're my family. I don't wanna see I don't want to be waving over here, hey mom, and then waving all the way over there, hi dad. You know, it's like I want them to be all together so I can go to them and they could be with me, you know, in my moments when I graduate and stuff, when I do boot camp, when I do whatever. And my dad said, well, I'll try my best.
I just want to say that I get what they're going through, and I know it's not easy, but on the other hand, it's not that hard either, because like their parents, they still love them. It's not like they're completely abandoning them. Like, they'll still be able to see them every day. So maybe divorce, like, it's a good thing. Like, sometimes they fight over who gets to give them the best presents or something like that. Sometimes it's an upside, sometimes it's down. It's only gonna be for a little while. They'll get used to it.
I've like grown out of like the pain from it, and I'm able to. When it first happened, I was like unable to do it because I didn't know how to cope with it. But I found out that just like, I don't know, just starting to pay attention. Like after time, all wounds heal.
The positive was that I knew my parents were happy, and that was the really good thing, because if my parents were happy, I would usually be happy. I might not be happy that they are with someone that I didn't really like, but it would always turn out that there would be something about them that I would really like.
As individuals, my dad is a lot happier. My dad has his daughter, who's my half-sister, and you know, he's got his wife, and I really like her. Her name is Yulimat, and anyways, they're really happy together. I go to the house and it's just really nice. You know, my dad is happy when it comes to that stuff. My mom, with my stepdad and the house we have and everything, she seems to be pretty happy too. And I feel that that's maybe one of the positive things, because it seems that them two are happier now than they were when they were together, just because of all the conflicts they had.
I think that it was good because we got out of the situation of him hurting us, but we got closer to him also.
It was good for my family because my mom and dad stopped fighting all the time, and well, they still fight sometimes, but not in front of us. It's over like emails and stuff. So I think it was really good for my family because my brother and I got away from all the screaming and yelling.
And the positive is that now I don't really have to listen to them arguing and stuff.
It was good for me. My parents fought a lot, so it helped when my dad left. But also now I have 2 houses to go to, and I get double the presents. So I mean, there are some good things that come out of it.
The good thing that happened to me is that my mom is happy and my dad's happy now, so.
Like, I get 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays, and like, after my first Christmas at whichever house, most kids would be like playing with their presents or whatever, but I get to go to the other house and open even more presents, and it's just kind of cool.
But it's also a positive thing because the more that they like spread them out towards the world, the more they date other people, the more friends they get to get, like the more places I get to go because they take me to separate places every year.
And the positive was probably knowing that my parents are like really happy, even though we're not a family anymore.
I think it's both. In a way, I'm really happy that I now have my stepmom Jennifer and my little baby brother Max. It's really nice watching Max and everyone grow up and just watch everyone get along.
What was good was that like I got to like experience each parent differently, like without each other. Like if they were together, like to this day I would think they'd be fighting more. But now that they're separate, it was good for me like to understand each of them and talk to each of them as if they were my only parent, like just getting to know them differently.
When I'm with my dad, we do a lot of fun things.
Just seeing them happier, just seeing their faces, their facial expressions, the way they talk to you about things now, like just getting to see them happier, that was the only real thing that was ever positive out of what happened.
It's hard to say, you know. You don't want to say that it's good that your parents broke up, but you don't want to say it's bad because you've grown from it. So it's good and bad.
I actually think it's both. I feel like if my parents would have stayed together, I would have had a way different upbringing. I would have been more on my studies, had a more wholesome family. But I feel like because of the divorce, it's made me stronger and know how to deal with things a lot better.
I don't think that you can really call a divorce good or bad. Divorce is always a gray area. Good things come from it, as it is a major event in your life and it leads to other good events. I, for example, have a stepmother who I love very dearly and an adorable little brother who I also love very dearly. And I've met many new people, and one of which, my step-uncle, made me fall in love with an entirely different instrument. I play guitar now. Obviously there are negatives. Your parents are no longer together. You have to have a fragmented life. You move from house to house. Your life is forever changed. However, any kind of change has good things and bad things.
Ask a lot of questions, because when you don't ask questions, you're not gonna know. And when you don't know, you're just gonna start thinking things in your head that aren't necessarily true. So you need to go up and ask somebody if the things that you're guessing in your head are true.
I think the best thing kids should do, especially when the divorce first happens, if the divorce is kind of like in my situation or anyone else's situation where, you know, there's that fight and the hate and separation, I think kids just need to voice what they feel more to the parents instead of just sitting by and letting this all happen.
Look at the bright side. Because even though your parents are not together, they're not fighting. And you can enjoy your time spent later, even though it's so hard right now, because I know that it is.
Stay faithful to both of your parents and still love both of your parents at the same time. You can't just let them, either one of them, fall back, or you just not talk to them. You still have to love them the same way.
You know, they should just talk to each one and tell them, you know what, I understand you guys have problems, but, you know, I would really want to see you guys do this. Kind of like how when I tell my dad, like, I would want to see you guys together. Stuff like that, like talking to the parents, because if they see both of them all the time, then that's what they should do. They should just sit down with each one of them and just tell them, you know, I understand you guys have problems, but for the sake of me and my sisters or anything, well, that's, if you're the oldest, like, that's something I would say, but that's just because of my age and, you know, I'm the oldest in my family. Just tell them something like that.
Just because they might feel abandoned, and maybe they were, everything's gonna get better. They do have one person. It might be their mom, might be their dad, it might be both. They still have people who love them, and even if it's not their parents, they still have people who care about them. They're not completely alone.
Just have a lot of friends, a lot of good friends to talk to that know the same thing that you're going through, and just having friends really helps. And going out and being in clubs and meeting new friends and being in sports, it really helps. You get your mind off of things.
That you should just express your feelings. You can always talk to your family about it. You shouldn't be scared. It's fine to talk to your family about it.
If you claim that you're a victim of divorce, then that sits inside of you. If you claim that divorce helped you, not that it's bad or good, that divorce helped you become a person and it helped shape your life, you'll be able to reach your goals and what you want to do.
Think of it as something unique, something that's gonna make you a stronger person because of it. You know, as like a growing process, kind of like an extra layer to your skin that makes you a little bit stronger.
Time does heal all wounds, and it'll definitely get better. That's for sure.
Into the future, when you just see the brighter way, you always have to think positive, what you have out of this. And then you kind of just get calm again and everything turns out right.
To children, I would say it's not your fault. You're not the only one. There are millions of other kids who are going through very similar situations to you, and you need to reach out to them. You need to try to express your feelings, and you need to find peace with the situation. Otherwise, you'll never ever really accept that this is happening.
Try some of those things. If you like writing a lot, you can write a story about it, and that will help you remember the good times that you have, and like I said, it will help you remember the good times that you had with them, and it's almost like they're there.
Reading's a big thing because it's academic and it challenges your mind, and it also takes you to places. And so once you've read books and stuff and you have a general knowledge, and your knowledge just keeps growing and growing, it's gonna help you not only escape from like this sad part of your life that you're trying to go through, but it's gonna help you think about it and really understand it in the later years. Playing sports, that's a good one, because you can just, all that anger and stuff, like football, baseball, volleyball, stuff like that, you channel it into something good instead of going out and, like becoming a bully or something like that and hurting other people. You help other people.
Believe in yourself that you can get through this, and just try to think of something else besides like your parents' divorce. If you think of something else, it helps you get through it.
Absolutely find something that you love and just do it to get away from everything else. Find something that puts you in your own world and just do it. Find an adult to talk to. If you have a sibling, I think talk to them so that you know that you're not going through it alone.
Stay strong and do some things that you like to do real fun. Get closer to your father or mother that's still with you, and do a lot of things that make you happy. Sometimes you can be by yourself and you still can be happy.
If you express yourself, there are lots of ways that you can express your feelings, in a song or in a drawing or in a story that you write, any of those 3 things.
Parents should not show the weak side to their kid. They should try as hard as they can, even if they have to leave the house or something to do their feelings, and just feel like they should not show their feelings, especially to young kids. It really hurts the hearts of the kids.
If you are worried about being a good parent, I think that you really are a good parent.
Make sure you communicate with the person, your ex-spouse. Communicate with them directly. Don't go through your children.
So if parents can tell their kids, just their daily life, how they're going through it, because that would help the kids and how they should try and go through it, because the kids want to take after their parents. So if the parents tell them how they're going through it, it'll help the kids a lot.
Parents need to talk to the child and let them know exactly what's going on, not just in a loving way, but be straightforward, because I understand parents want to be sweet and everything, but it doesn't help if the child finds out by themselves and has to go through that later on too. It's better to just forget about it.
Don't act like they're not part of the life anymore. Don't ignore them. That's not really a good relationship with your kids.
Always tell the truth to your kids. Even if it's something that's gonna end up hurting their hearts, you still have to tell them. You can't just hide it and then let it come out in the worst time.
Well, what they shouldn't do is keep it a secret from their kids. until like that one day where they're moving and the kids are like, what's going on? They have no idea. I think they should tell them like a few months in advance so they know and expect it. And the kids like aren't as upset as if they would if the parents just took off.
They should ask the kids what they're going through and ask them once in a while, how are you feeling about this? What is your opinion on what we're doing here?
They should always explain to the kids what's happening, because if you explain it to them, that they can understand, and it will make it easier for them to go through that transition.
Just think about the kid before like you make any like decisions about like if you guys want to separate or not. Just what would it do to them?
If you're going about to divorce, don't think, even if you guys are like arguing or something, just try to make it up. Think of the kids. Think of how their lives can be ruined if you just make the slightest mistake of separating. It's hard when you have parents that are separated. I feel like divorce should not be an option. A long time ago, there was no such thing as divorce.
Like, you said not to, like, yell, like, in front of them. And sometimes, like, you don't hear what they're talking about, and you don't know what's wrong, and you might think it's about you or something. And it's really not good for them to, like, hear what they're talking about, because sometimes it just may not be good for the kid.
If you don't want to hurt your kids, don't scream a lot.
Don't go into fighting or anything, because if the kid sees that, it scars them. It really does.
The parents shouldn't take out their anger on the children. The children are innocent.
You should tell your kids about the circle and square thing, like that, like you were different in many ways. So you got divorced, and like you can like talk to them if your parents were divorced or your friends' parents were divorced before, and like they could, like you could tell them about. You can help them a lot by like telling them about that. It helps your kids a lot. Like as well, my mommy, she talked to me a lot and about this, and she helped me get through it.
Try your hardest to mend the relationship, even if it won't really work out. Just try your hardest, because it really is obviously gonna affect your kids.
If you have the opportunity, try to not get a divorce. It does nothing but bad for everybody. Try to make the best out of your marriage. Try to make it work. I bet you if you guys both really tried and put the work in, you guys could make it work, and it'd make your kids turn out a lot better.
When your parents meet someone new, you know that they're always happy. They might not be happy with someone they are with, but they can always go around it. Make it seem, don't make it hard on yourself. If you're having a problem with someone, don't keep it from them. Speak them out.
If they really want a divorce, then just get past all the hate, resolve all their problems, so that when they divorce the kids, it'll be a lot easier, because the kids don't have to deal with them constantly fighting even after the words of divorce. If anything, divorce is supposed to be something to relieve that, right? I mean, people get divorced if there's too much fighting or if there's problems. The thing about divorcing is getting away from the problems. So to get divorced, what I just think they should do is just, have this kind of agreement of like, you know what, we're just gonna put aside everything that's happened. We're gonna be friends for the kids. We're gonna act normal around each other. We're never gonna have any conflicts, and we're not gonna bring the kids into anything. It's just us. The kids have nothing to do with it, because most families seem to put a lot of the pressure on the kids, and you know, they fight in front of the kids. And that's what makes it hard.
It's not the end of the world. It definitely gets better. You know, it's gonna get better. Promise it.
Sunday evening and the downtown shops are closed and sleeping. I'm sitting on a bench, my eyes sore from reading. I feel unwelcome at the playground parks. The parents' eyes are on me right from the start.
I'm a single parent, can't you feel my pain? While circles of life are playing a game, it might be one thing to show me the blame. Without my boy around, it drives me insane.
It's not my weekend to have my boy with me. You think I'd be happy to be free? It's only every fortnight that I get to see. Have my little boy John here with me. My baby's here with me.
Another weekend has now passed. I'm fixing dinner and running my boy's bed. And he says, Mommy, I'm home at last. I hope you and Daddy get back together fast.
My cell phone rings and my son says goodnight. Tears fill my eyes as I say, sleep tight. My boy says, Daddy, are you alright? And remember, next weekend is our night. It's not my weekend to have